How did I learn God was calling me to the priesthood? I guess, well, the first time really I heard, I think, God speaking actually was through my great-grandma, my great-grandmother, Alvine Linnebur. And growing up, she was a widow when I was roughly 9 or 10 at least. And my brother and sisters, my parents would take us over on Sunday afternoons to go visit great-grandma, and we always knew she had candy, so we would go and enjoy the afternoon with her. And on one particular afternoon, she asked a question really directed to me and my brother. And she said, which one of you two is going to be a priest? Because you guys live on the Priest Road. Now, we lived just a mile north and a mile east of Colwich, and so that road, that mile line, is 61st Street North. And on that road, at some point in time or another, lived my great-uncle, Father Leroy Linnebur, my uncle, now deceased, Father David Linnebur, Father Jim Spexarth, Father Dan Spexarth, and now Father Aaron Spexarth and myself. So when my grandmother first brought this question up, the first thing that came to my mind was, we've got to move, because I didn't want to be living on the road. I respected the priesthood. I grew up with priests in my family, but I just didn't want to join that crowd. I loved the priests, but just was, I guess, afraid to follow Christ, to follow the call, and God using my great-grandmother to begin that process. You know, growing up, as far as listening to God or thinking of a vocation to the priesthood, I know I enjoyed serving at Mass, serving under the different parish priests that we had out at Sacred Heart in Colwich. And one in particular, Father John Dinan, actually asked one day after Mass, he said, Michael, I want you to pray each day asking God what He wants you to do with your life. And I knew where he was going. I'm like, all right, here it comes again. Here's the vocations pitch he's thrown at me. But, you know, I enjoyed serving. I enjoyed assisting at Mass. So growing up, there was that. In high school and college, in high school, really nothing really directed towards vocation. It was really in college up at K-State, Kansas State University, where I really had the idea of the calling come back. First in my sophomore year, and well, again, I said, oh no. And I even asked God, I said, hey, just come back my last year when I'm graduating, and I'll follow through with you on that. And well, He did. My last year, as I was finishing college, was really that summer, then into the last year was when God really started really knocking on the door, so to speak, with my vocation. Sometimes in our lives, I can speak for myself, it's kind of challenging to listen to God when He's speaking to us, calling us for our vocation. In my own life, I really kind of ran from God, running from Him calling, especially to the priesthood. I went to college at Kansas State University, and in my sophomore year, I had the feeling of this calling to the priesthood, and yet I was afraid. I even told God, I was like, hey, check back with me later. Check back when I'm graduating, not now. And He kind of took me up on my word, because I was up there for 5 years, total 5 years. In my 4th year, I was dating a Catholic girl, and that relationship ended up not working out. Now, I always wanted to be married, but after that relationship ended, I stayed up there for the summer. The idea of God calling, him calling and the idea of the priesthood really started kicking strong in my heart, and I yet kept wanting to run. I was an accounting and finance major, and for jobs, for full-time career positions, we interviewed in the fall because the spring was the tax season. So I began interviewing for job offers. I still kept running from God. And I had 4 different offers lined up on the table with substantial dollar figures for each of these job offers, and yet I didn't have peace of mind. I kind of come to realize, I even went to a vocation discussion group just to discern, get that out of the way, so that way I could move on. And yet, as much as I tried to do, as much as I tried to run from God, He didn't give up on me. He kept knocking on the door. He kept calling. You know what led me to begin finally trusting in God through all of my journey in life, I guess, of trying to find my vocation. When I was at the point at college up at K-State, and I had these job offers to work for CPA firms in a regional area, and yet I didn't have peace of mind. And I knew I know God has something in store for each and every one of us, and I thought, if this is it, I'm not having peace of mind. And yet I would go to a vocation discussion group held there up at the Newman Center, St. Isidore's Catholic Student Center there in Manhattan, and I would feel like it kind of resonated. I felt kind of like, wow, this sounds pretty good. This kind of clicks. And so in the end, I finally, this was around the Christmas of 2001, I made the decision to cancel those job offers, to finish my college degree, to finish out to the spring of 2002, get my degree in accounting and finance, but then to look into the seminary. And when I made that decision, I had then a peace of mind. I had a peace in my heart that it really was, at least that was God's will for me. And that is fulfilling when you finally have that peace of knowing that you're opening yourself to God's will. I guess if I were to give any tips on anyone, young men especially, discerning a call maybe to a priesthood or just their vocation in general, I would say, one, we want to keep up a prayer life. We want to continue to pray each day. As I was really discerning my vocation in college, at least, I found myself beginning to go to Mass. It started off just once a week during the week, well, besides Sunday, but a weekday Mass. And it slowly became more of daily Mass. And so prayer, the sacraments, staying close to Christ. I'm a firm believer, and I tell young people this when I speak to them, that God does indeed, He knows what will make us happy. The challenge we have is trusting that He knows what will make us happy, trusting that He will make that happen in our lives. And so prayer, the sacraments, and asking God for the graces we need to open our hearts, to just give God an open heart. And if we give Him that, then He can work great things through us.